Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. Manchester United have effectively and immediately sacked Erik Ten Hag. It is over under him. As we all know, this happened about a couple of hours ago. We are coming to you live with the latest updates surrounding what is next for Manchester United. Who is going to take over the job permanently? There's a lot of breaking news coming out even to this second. It is a live ongoing thing. We are going to discuss everything that has happened and everything that is coming out live as we are live as well. So we're going to get into it. There's a lot of news. There's a lot of stuff happened. I'm going to start off the show by saying my piece and then we'll get into the news. Please smash the like button for me if you can, because it helps the channel grow and we greatly appreciate it. And also, if you're not a subscriber and you want to join the community and you get involved in the lovely discussions that we always have, we have very good interactive discussions always with our loyal members that we have so far in the community. Then go ahead, subscribe and turn on the notifications, hit the bell icon so you know when we go live, so you could always be a part of our shows. But I need to start off the show before we get into the updates and the news and all that stuff. Listen, yesterday, obviously, I was rightfully very, very angry. I was very, very, very upset. I was ranting. I was raving. And I just want to say, I backed the manager. I wanted him to succeed. I believed in this guy. But it was time to go. I thank him for the 2 trophies that he won at Manchester United. I thank him for the good things that he did at Manchester United. He's brung through a couple players in Garnacho and Meno and stuff like that. It wasn't all negative. So I thank him for his time. I thank him for his service. But it was the correct decision. It had to be done. It had to be made. It was untenable, the position that we were in. We could not continue that way. I truly believe that in my heart. I'm sad that, another manager has failed in the concept, but it was the correct decision. I was actually surprised. I just seen it. I was busy doing some other things. I wasn't really paying attention to the news. I didn't really expect INEOS to do it today. And at the time that they did it. So I kind of sort of missed that. That's why we're going live now. But this is an ongoing circus now, unfortunately, and a media frenzy. So there's a lot of things that we're going to have to navigate through. There's going to be a lot of rumors. There's going to be a lot of BS out there. It's going to be difficult to navigate through because we don't really know what is so much accurate and more just for clicks and stuff like that and bait. So we're gonna digest everything. We're gonna discuss as we usually do. And I see a couple of our members are in here. Richard, Lyle, Jason, Gala's in here, Lions is in here. I'm sure you guys have a lot of things to say, how you feel. And I just want to say as well, I'm sorry because I was rewatching the show yesterday because I saw red, and I didn't even really remember half the stuff I was saying because it was just coming, from how I felt in that moment. So I just wanted to go back to listen to what I was saying to make sure that, I was saying things that at least made some sort of sense. And I realized that, I didn't really get the opinions of you guys yesterday as much as I wanted to. I kind of wanted to ask you guys how you were feeling, and I never got to it. So, please, anything that you got to say, it doesn't have to be what I'm currently talking about, but however you feel on the manager stuff going forward, whatever it is, throw it in the chat. Throw it in the chat, please. Richard saying Erik Ten Hag had to go. It would be rude. It would be rude not to. Cracking a joke there. I like it. Sometimes you got to laugh in a situation where it might not be the nicest of circumstances. So good joke there. I like that one. It was very good, very good. But yeah, so let's get into the news. Let's go through a little bit of a timeline and we'll get up to the most up-to-date current things that are coming out around Manchester United. So obviously, Manchester United releasing a club statement about 3 hours ago saying Erik Ten Hag has left his role as Manchester United men's first team manager. Ruud van Nistelrooy will take charge of the team as interim head coach, supported by the current coaching team, whilst a permanent head coach is recruited. So I think that makes the most sense. I think it was always the most likely thing to happen. And I think with Ruud being new, Hake being new, I don't think they were necessarily always going to lose their job. It's going to be interesting to see what INEOS do with that dynamic of the coaching squad, because there's always an argument of when you bring in a manager, he wants to bring in his people. I think, obviously Ruud coming in and Hake coming in, it was from Ten Hag, but it was also agreed by the board, by INEOS, and co. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when we do actually finalize a proper long-term candidate for the job. Now, has been some names thrown out there. We're going to get into that. The likes of Xabi, Nagelsmann, Thomas Frank, Ruben Amorim, etc., etc. There's actually been quite a couple of names out there. So we're going to get into that for sure. But Jason saying, I would bet that if Ruud wins the next few games, the fan base would want him as a permanent manager. Listen, I actually, for sure, if Ruud brings back some positivity, we get some positive results, we get some good performances, there's gonna be a certain section, at least for sure, it's guaranteed, that they're going to want Ruud van Nistelrooy as the permanent manager. There's already probably some people out there that want Ruud van Nistelrooy to be the permanent manager, and he hasn't managed the second of Manchester United. It is a thing that is going to happen. But I don't necessarily want to go down that route. I might like his football. I might like the way he sets us up. But I don't know, and I don't think he may necessarily be the proper long-term candidate. I think there are other managers out there that have a lot more experience than Ruud, that are better than probably Ruud in an overall aspect of a manager. And I think this it has to be the best pick we possibly can for the project that we are trying to do, that INEOS are trying to do, for the sake of the future of Manchester United. Because in all honesty, INEOS can't really get this wrong. Listen, it doesn't have to per se turn into one where we do end up challenging per se or winning a title. But this manager, it kind of has to be, it has to steady the ship at the very least, and put us in a place where we are, competitive, where we are some type of serious. Whereas, maybe we can be finishing around third, strong finishes in the top four, strong finishes in Europe of where we are. It has to lay a foundation, at the very least, a platform for that this manager can come and bring in some stabilization, and over a long period of time. I'm not talking about short-term stabilization. He has to steady, at the very least, steady the ship of Manchester United, lay a platform so that we can then, if a better manager is available, and we can bring him in and we can move on to the next level. I would liken it something similar to how kind of Xavi at Barca, he kind of steadied the ship a bit. He was able to win La Liga title. He won, I believe it was the Copa del Rey or the other trophy in Spain, and he also did decent in Europe. But they moved on from him. They got a Hansi Flick, and Hansi Flick has seemed to elevated the entire squad and the playing style and the way they're playing. Obviously, it's his first season. We don't know where he's going to finish. But right now, if you look at it, the top of the La Liga, they've beaten some big teams. They've battered some big teams. They have about a 21-25 goal difference. So we kind of got to go in that direction, at least, at the very least. If we're not going to get somebody that is going to just continue to progress, it has to be one or the other, in my opinion. 100%. Lyle saying, I'm sad for Erik Ten Hag, no lie. I really wanted him to succeed, but this is a different scenario, and unfortunately had to go. And I feel like that as well, Lyle. I do feel like that as well. We were all here together. We all backed him generously, and advocated for him to keep his job in the summer, because we believed in him. We felt like he could do something. We thought, he won 2 trophies. Let's give the guy a chance. But it is the right decision because we are on 14th, and the way we are moving, the way we are playing, what we are seeing on the pitch, we just couldn't continue to give time into it. It just it wasn't possible. It wasn't possible. I think he was given many chances. I thought maybe he would be given another 1 to 2 matches. But I have to say, INEOS, I called and I demanded INEOS to have some balls and make the decision, and they did it. They did it today, so I have to give them credit in that aspect for today, for sure. Richard saying there's only one manager I want, and that's Simeone Inzaghi. Oh, well, I'm a little bit surprised by that, to be honest. I thought maybe you would say somebody else, but all right. I don't think he's a bad candidate. Lions is in here with this Thomas Frank. He wants that going. Did anyone see the Xavi post yesterday? His son is in a United top. Yes, his wife put out a picture after our match later on in the evening of them in the kitchen doing some family time with the kids, and his son was wearing a Manchester United kit, which obviously led to a ton of speculation. But we're gonna get into Xavi because there's been some updates. But let's go through the rest of the news. So this came out after the sacking, saying sacking Erik Ten Hag has been described by Manchester United source as a difficult and finely balanced decision, but a collective and unanimous one. The new football structure believes there are no excuses for the current performances. And I gotta say, if it's true, I agree 100% with the new football structure. There are no actual excuses for the current performances and the current position that we are in, and that was the crux and the base of my argument yesterday. Grace is in here, always she always puts a smile on my face with her banter. She said, "Bring me the West Coast." Grace, we don't want the West Coast. We don't want the West Coast. Don't do it. But yes, there is no actual excuse. Listen, obviously the players are ones that are on the pitch doing things like missing the chances that they are missing. But again, and I've always said this, it is a combination between the players and the manager who get the blame. And again, I think I was on point, and I think I was on key, and I think I felt correct in that I said that when you are the manager, you have to manage not only the aspect. There's so many aspects of the squad that you have to manage, and one of them is situations of the club, of your current squad. And when your team is missing chances, when your team is as wasteful as we are number 1 in the league, 22 big chances missed. We are the number 1 team in the league. You have to manage that situation in one way or another. Whatever you got to do to get them to stop missing the chances. Obviously, the players are at fault. Obviously, some of our players, they have been a little bit disgraceful in the shirt. But as a manager, you got to try and figure out how to change the situation of your club, of your players on the pitch. And I don't think, Erik Ten Hag either, whatever he didn't work, or he wasn't necessarily doing a good job of it. So, yeah, I mean, there was no excuses. He's talking about injuries. There's not injuries is not an excuse this season. And I always wanted to know why we are so far behind. Why do we look so far behind when we are playing matches? So, and to me, there's no excuses. There's not really excuses. There's certain basics of Manchester United that, why can't we have a certain pattern of play, a strong foundation and pattern of play? We don't have that. So there was no excuses. Richard saying, I hope it gives us a bounce in the short time so as we can start and progress. I think we probably, I mean, it's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed, but I think from the things that we were told about Ruud van Nistelrooy, that have come from the media and leaked out or whatever, it seems like the players really like Ruud van Nistelrooy. It seems like he's well respected. It seems like his way of communication is, well received by players and other staff alike. So I think it can definitely give us a bounce. I'm hoping for the bounce in the meantime because we need the bounce. And it's kind of what we're hoping for because we at the very least we need a bounce. And usually you see a bounce, but not always because been in our own situation where we've seen that we didn't necessarily got a bounce, and it got worse. So, but I don't think that situation is probably similar. I think Ruud is well respected, of course, being a Manchester United legend and stuff like that with the club and a great striker. I think he is well respected. I think the players will respect him. And I don't think he's necessarily a bad manager / coach either. So, yeah, I think so. But it's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. So we got to see. But I'm looking forward to the match that we play against Leicester now, because Ruud is going to be at the helm. It's a little bit exciting because I want to see, how we can play and what we can play with different ideas. This is what I was looking for. Lyle saying, my gut tells me that this might be different than before, where we get a manager, small resurgence, dip in form, then change manager, rinse and repeat. INEOS might just break that curse, hopefully. Well, we do have an update coming from Sir Jim Ratcliffe surrounding the new manager update as well, and we're going to get into that. And, if it is true, it instills a lot of confidence in me in the way we're going, because I also asked for it yesterday. So Lyle saying, watched United play well because that Brentford second half was a rude hacky play. You could see it when Erik Ten Hag embraced him. So now we might see some magic. It kind of feels like an episode of Ted Lasso in a way. That episode where I forgot his name, Nathan, who was he was basically like the ball manager, the kit manager, whatever he was. And he drew up that play because, and they used it or whatever. He drew up the tactics and they used it and they ended up winning the match, and then he got all the credit for it. It kind of feels like it was ripped out of there. I don't know. It's not in the same exact way, but yeah, maybe. Grace saying, I'm here for Eric's Ruud she's here for my Ruud outstream when we lose to Leicester and Chelsea. I'm going to be happy sipping my Coke, enjoying the meltdown. Listen, I'm not gonna have a meltdown because I don't listen. I will be sad. I'll be disappointed, but I'm not gonna have a meltdown if we lose because I still have my doubts about Ruud. But I wish him luck and I hope he does well. I don't really necessarily want to go down this route of he's an ex-United player / legend. To me, he doesn't per se have the experience to handle Manchester United and the mess that we are in. I think we need a real deal manager. I think we need to go and get the best of the best, and I think they need to pay for it. I think if INEOS is serious, they need to pay for it, and we have an update from Sir Jim Ratcliffe about that he actually has sort of addressed it, not directly, but it has come out in that way. So Jason Gala saying maybe INEOS will make this right by appointing their own chosen manager for the first time. It is very common for new owners to sack the current manager anyway, so we saw this coming. And that was one of the things we always kind of talked about. Like, it was a weird situation. We kind of had this whole new board, this whole new hierarchy kind of set up. But the manager was a person that was hired from the whole old hierarchy under the old incompetent people. So I kind of want to see who INEOS do go and get, because I think it's important to their project, and I think it's an important statement that they can make. They can make a very strong statement with who they go and get to actually replace Erik Ten Hag. I want to see who they get, because it was always a strange type of thing. We have, I said the hierarchy, and some of the staff, they're on phase one. They're on year one of being at Manchester United. Erik Ten Hag was at year 3, was hired under the old regime, and it kind of just didn't gel well, and it was a strange thing. It really was a strange thing. Now we could everybody is almost on a fresh page, except for some of the players. And some of the players, I want INEOS to deal with them in the summer. Some of the players that have been here for way too long, that, are basically stealing a wage, that have been through too many managers, and that are considered a problem, they need to be dealt with in the summer. But, we cross that bridge when we get to it. We can't really do much with them right now. So, we have to deal with them and use them as they are. And there's probably some circumstances, relating to other players' futures now that Erik Ten Hag is also gone. And I think you're right, Jason, in that aspect. Grace is saying I'm rude out if he loses either, or I'm going to be a toxic bitch about it. Lion saying Ruud Van Nistelrooy needs to perform well. Otherwise, if he doesn't get it full time, he'll be out next. Well, listen, I don't think he should. I don't know. I guess it's hard to say. Maybe it's a little bit unfair, but I don't think he should be. I don't think he should get the full-time job. I don't think we should go down that route. I think he should be there for however long it takes for us to get the proper manager. I think if he does well, I think maybe we can afford to give it to him until the end of the season if he does do well. But I don't necessarily think he should probably be given the full-time job. I'm worried of kind of what we've seen under Solskjaer. I'm worried that it goes good for about 3 to something 6 months, and then it kind of just falls apart, and it kind of looks a little bit out of his depth, and then we're a little bit screwed, like how we were on the Solskjaer. Now, I think Ruud is probably a stronger manager than Solskjaer. I think he's probably, tactically anyway, probably a better manager than Solskjaer, but I think there's options out there that are way more qualified, and way more experienced, for Manchester United, and one of them obviously is not Nagelsmann. Now, let me just jump to a couple things. Ruud does understand the situation, and Richard says no, giving Ruud the full-time job would be like Ali, and that's what I'm saying. And I think a lot of our fans in the fan base, obviously there's going to be some people that want Ruud. I think some people's opinions will be swayed depending on what kind of results. Like, let's say if we win 5 off the bat, on the bounce, with Ruud in charge, there's going to be some people that convert to Ruud becoming the manager. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But INEOS have to do what INEOS need to do. Listen to us, but we cannot dictate, your decisions, INEOS. You are the people in charge. You have to do what's right. Sometimes you're going to go against us. But if you get it right, then that's you doing your job. You can't always, it's important to have communication with the fans and listen to the fans, but you can't always do what the fans say, because we change our minds all the time. It's part of being a fan. We are not in charge of the club. You have to do your job, INEOS. You have to do your job. Ruud has 6 home games out of 7 up next, and this must have played a part in the decision. Well, there is an update about that as well. So let me just pull this up. And Jason saying, totally agree with you. I was going to write, but you said it yourself. Would rather keep Ruud till the end of the season until they find the right one. Imagine the months of media pressure on that. Well, the thing is, we might be able to pry somebody away, because apparently Sir Jim Ratcliffe is willing to pay for a new manager. So we might be able to get one quicker, sooner rather than later. So let's get into this. And Manchester United are trying to are going to try their luck and approach Julian Nagelsmann. Now, he is a manager that we've spoken about before. He is a manager that I personally like. I like his football. I like the fact that he's young. I think he already has very good experience in that aspect in the clubs that he's managed. I like his football. I think he is a good candidate for the Manchester United job. I think he is one we should definitely be looking at. He is one we should definitely be trying to get. So there is that. There's more updates on him. I'm kind of going to go through this so we could actually have a better discussion, because there's a lot of updates. I want to kind of get through the news. So I'm going to try and go back and forth a little bit. So Xavi obviously was linked. We talked a little bit about Xavi, but it's come out that apparently Xavi is not among the candidates to replace Erik Ten Hag as Manchester United manager. I don't know if I per se have this update somewhere, but it is because apparently Xavi has always said that he will take a sabbatical. He wants a year break, so he's not going to jump back in. Now, things can maybe change, but that is the word coming out right now, is that Xavi is not considered a candidate to replace Erik Ten Hag because Xavi has basically excluded himself from the running because Xavi wants 1 year off from managing. and taking time away from the game before he returns. Therefore, he cannot be on the list. We had this update that Manchester United players were told about Erik Ten Hag sacking at the same time the official announcement was made this morning. The players were off. The players do not have training, so it wasn't like they were told together. They had to kind of be told separate. I believe they were told in a WhatsApp group message somehow, one way or another. So, but Manchester United have approached several candidates, including Julian Nagelsmann and Thomas Frank, Lions. Nagelsmann is a newer name contacted. And I personally, and Lions isn't gonna like it too much, but I'm taking Julian Nagelsmann over Thomas Frank every day of the week. You know, in my opinion, I'm sure Lions is gonna be maybe the opposite, but you know, it is what it is. Lions saying, listen, this is how it's going to go down. Ten Hag will go to Ipswich. McKenna will go to Brentford. Frankfurter will go to United. I mean, that would be absolutely insane that actually happened. Lyle saying, if we get into the UCL, boy, oh boy, manager pool automatically gets larger. I wouldn't, and Richard saying he wouldn't be against Nagelsmann. Well, I think he's young enough, and I think he just really fits like the kind of profile in the project that INEOS have kind of started here. I think he is a very good candidate. He is somebody that's young, but has a very good amount of experience already. He's managed clubs like, you know, like Bayern Munich. And, you know, he's managed the national team. I think he's done a very good job with the national team as well in Germany. I think, you know, the way he's got them playing, very, very good. I think he fits the profile very, very well. Now, are they going to be able to get him because he is the German coach? You know, there was talks about that he wants to stay and coach them to the World Cup. Can INEOS convince him to leave his position? It may be, maybe not. You know, they're gonna have to try, but at least we can't fault them for trying. You know, if it's a personal choice between Nagelsmann and he doesn't really want to leave, there's nothing really you can do, and you got to move on to the next available best candidate that there is. You know, Lines is using tarot cards to predict what's going on. Can you use them for me? Because I need to know. Or can you use them for the lottery or something? Because I got to figure out how to hit that. No, Steven Gerrard would never be a candidate. Absolutely not. Not even possible. Not even possible. Don't even joke about that. Don't even put that into the atmosphere. So Bruno Fernandes has put a post on Instagram, obviously because Bruno is the captain. He was Erik Ten Hag's captain. And he's basically said, thanks for everything, boss. I appreciate the trust and the moments we shared together. I wish you all the best. Even knowing the last period hasn't been great from all of us, I hope you fans can keep with you the good things Erik has done for our club. So Bruno coming out in support and kind of trying to ask the fans to, you know, don't be so I guess rough on Erik Ten Hag around him losing his job. Melissa Reddy has come out saying Manchester United are working through a short list of around 5 potential managers to replace Erik Ten Hag. One of the reasons why Manchester United decided to sack Erik Ten Hag was due to his inability to improve players that he signed, and that's coming from Sky Cava. And I think that is a little bit, it's a little bit of a fact. It's a little bit harsh because I think he was able to improve players like Amenu and a Garnacho, and some other players had certainly a good resurgence. And then some of the players, like the players that we had bought, they came in and they weren't performing great. So I think there's some bite to it, but I think there's an argument on both sides to that. But certainly, I don't think it's 100% wrong. Julian Nagelsmann, Thomas Frank, and Ruben Amorim are all contenders to become the next Manchester United manager. Now, for me, Ruben Amorim is another manager and another candidate that I would be okay with. I think he also fits kind of that profile of he's young. I think he has decently good experience. Not as much as I would say as Nagelsmann does. But I think, you know, what he's done with Sporting, you know, he's been able to get Sporting to win. I think they performed pretty well in Europe for being Sporting and stuff like that. So and I kind of like his football and his style as well. So I don't think he's necessarily a bad candidate. Lions is gonna hate me today because I'm gonna put everybody basically over Thomas Frank, but I would have Nagelsmann, Amorim, and then Frank is on the bottom of that list. For me, obviously Lions feels different. Stephanie has joined us as well, our wonderful other moderator. So it's good to see you. How are you feeling, Stephanie? And Amir Fakir saying no manager can save us. These players need to step up. Well, listen, it's not about necessarily saving us. And you know what? The season is salvageable, and that's why. That's why INEOS really did have to sack Erik Ten Hag. I think it was pretty much over between him, his ideas, his philosophy, and between him and the players. I think there was a big disconnect. I think the players were sort of struggling to continue to believe in him, back him. And while the players need to be dealt with, we can't deal with them right now. There is nothing we can necessarily do. He was the only one that we could really make a change that could have an impact on our season at this moment in time. And I'm going to say INEOS need to deal with the players that are the problems, the ones that keep letting us down, the ones that have been letting us down, that have let numerous amount of managers down as well, the ones that don't fit this club. Even if we just got them this season, last season, if they were the wrong buys, like Omar Barada has said and done in the past when he's been at his other jobs, move them on. And, I'm looking for that to happen when we get to the summer. But we can only do that in the summer. We have a season ahead of us. We have a season that we can be turned around. It's not about being the Messiah of Manchester United and coming as the Holy One to touch everything and turn it into gold and save us. But there are certainly principles and basics. We can get a manager that makes us play good football. We can get a manager that gives us some sort of an identity, a strong style of play. They can turn the results around. I mean, Ruud could kind of lay the foundation for it if he's that good enough. I don't know. It's yet to be seen. Let's see what happens. But, it's not about being the Messiah, the savior of Manchester United. INEOS have their job. We have a hierarchy. They need to fix the things that have hampered managers failing at the club. That is their job. The manager needs to come in and focus and fix the squad in terms of playing. And I think the players we have, we shouldn't be in 14th. I think we all agree with that. We should be performing way better, and we should be in a better position with the group of players that we have and the quality of players that we have. I think every Manchester United fan across the world, and even people that hate our club and are not fans of our club, agree that we should not be in 14th. We should probably be somewhere, in the top 6, at least fighting, being competitive for the top 4. So we can get back there. It is still possible. It is still possible, 100%. Stephanie saying, get Amorim before City gets him. Big up Eric in the chat. Legends. Well, big up to yourself, Steph, because you are also a legend. Sadiq saying, to my friend, whoever we bring in, we need to give them time. No. I think obviously, obviously they need to be given some sort of time, Sadiq. They have to be given some sort of time. But I'm not doing this 3-year I'm not doing this. We need to give them 3 years or 4 years. They earn that. They earn it. I'm not giving it to them. They must earn it by performances, and they gotta show me. They gotta show me they're building something like concrete. I'm not going out of my way anymore to give benefits of doubts for manager. You either perform and get results, or we move you on and we get somebody else in until they can do the job. Because this is a high pressure job. This is an important job. We cannot just be a charity handing out, time, and benefits of doubt. They need to show progress. They need to show that they are earning this time. They have to earn this time. So, obviously there's an initial period, but after a certain amount of time, they need to show that they can, improve players, implement a style of play, bring some sort of an identity, make us some sort of competitive in a way. And if they're not doing it, I'm sorry. There's no sentimentalism. You are here to do a job. Your job is to get Manchester United to play good football and get results and get points and put us in the best possible position. And if you're not doing it, you got to go, and it's the next one. It's the next one. We got to stop with this. They need time before we don't even know who the manager is. We got to stop with this. We can't keep going down that route. We cannot keep going down that route. I'm sorry about that. Um, so, um, yes, I'm sorry. I lost my spot because somebody in my house had to come and say something to me. So I apologize for that. Agreed, these players have thrown so many managers on the bus. Yeah, I hope we can push on and do something both in the league and Europa League. I would laugh if we get Southgate at the club. No, no, we're not doing that. Ray is in here as well. Ray, good to see you. Sadiq saying there's no identity with no. Listen, let's stop talking about Southgate. Southgate ain't coming. Southgate ain't being linked. We have more things we have more things to get through. So stop talking about Southgate. It's not happening. What does Pops think, Eric? Well, I haven't really spoken to him yet. He just sent me a text message basically saying that he basically just sent me a text message saying he's gone. He was feeling, yesterday when we were playing when we watched the match, he was like, he's got to go. Pretty much, it was done. It was over with. He's been frustrated very long with the way we play. My father is a bit old school. He doesn't really, he never really understood the whole possession thing. He never understood why we passed the ball backwards so long. And he doesn't like it. It's not the football he enjoys. And I'm similar in that way. Like, I want to see directness. I want to see wingers and kind of risk taking. So in that way, but we haven't really discussed going forward. And I don't think he per se has like somebody that he thinks who should take like a next manager or so. I think he just lets the club kind of appoint and then he judges him, whoever the manager is, he judges him once he sees him, kind of like, show me what you got, and I'll decide if I think you're good enough or not. He doesn't really get involved in like, oh, it's got to be this guy, it's got to be that guy. He might like one or two guys, but he doesn't get too involved in it. So I'll keep you posted on it though. Richard saying, has my name been mentioned with the manager's job? Well, we're gonna get into that, so it's a possibility. Yeah, Southgate ain't coming. But yes, we have more updates. So let me pull them up and let's get back into the flow of the show. So Manchester United, and this is the one that scares me the most out of all the updates. Apparently from Samuel Luckhurst, and I think Samuel Luckhurst is just a jackass because he's apparently the only one that's put this up. But Manchester United have not ruled out a formal approach for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer amid the possibility they could be restricted to managerial free agents. And I think this is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is coming back to Manchester United. I don't think he should come back to Manchester United in any aspect. And I don't think this is actually serious. I don't think INEOS are necessarily looking to bring Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back. I think Samuel Luckhurst is an absolute joke for putting this out. He's doing an absolute madness. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. I don't know why he has to be the way he is. He is absolutely despicable for putting this out. There's so many other options. We're gonna go back to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now maybe he comes to help out Ruud or something like that. but I don't think that's gonna happen. I think it's just a bad look PR wise, and I don't think I don't think INEOS will do it. I think they're smarter than that. Erik Ten Hag is due around 17 million in compensation following the sacking. That's coming from Samuel Luckhurst, but Telly Football has said that Erik Ten Hag sacking is believed to be costing Manchester United in the region of 13.5 million in compensation. So yes, it's somewhere 13.5 million, 7 million, 17 million, something like that. So I don't know. We got to say, Richard saying, I'm telling you, in the next few years, we'll be back to 2 up front. Maybe we'll be back up to 2 up front next game. If anybody is familiar, how was Ten Hag, not Ten Hag, Jesus, how was Ruud van Nistelrooy kind of setting up his teams when he was in Holland as the manager? Because now we gotta kind of look at that and take kind of an analysis to that. Stephanie's saying we need to explain to our players they must score minimum 1 goal per half, hitting post, crossbar, not good enough. Well, I mean, you got to get a little bit creative sometimes when they're not performing, when they're not responding to certain things and trying to get it through their head. You definitely, you got to be creative. I mean, I kind of seen something with Arteta. I think Arteta is creative in his ways. There was a video of Arteta basically doing a chat. He had the board and he said, if the opponent crosses into this area, for each touch that the opposing team has on the ball, you guys, I'm taking 100,000 whatever out of your wage or something like that. So it doesn't have to be to that extent or whatever, but something similar. You got to get a little creative. You got to and then do it, actually follow through and do it, so they know you mean business. And then Ali is not coming back. You simply can't go back. No, we simply can't go back. So did Sancho post something about Ten Hag sacking? He did, and we could probably cover that in a little bit. I would like us to get Inzaghi, Sadiq is saying. No more Ali, please. Ali is our legend. Please respect Ali. No, he is our legend, but, it didn't end well as a manager. I mean, you just can't go backwards. You cannot go backwards. So, let him be. Let him be. He had his time. It was good, then it was bad. It is what it is. Legend of the club as a player. And just let him be. Yeah, Samuel Luckhurst is just a dick. I don't know what's wrong with him. Jesus would be good, because I think he would be able to do. I think he would be able to do miracles at Manchester United. Yes. We need to score goals, which has been our problem. Well, we need to score goals. We also need a better style of play. Yesterday's whole thing was about the overarching thing. It wasn't really necessarily about the fact that. Because yesterday the loss wasn't necessarily on Ten Hag, but it was the overarching thing. It was more on the players and VAR and Michael Oliver, who is a piece of shit, and he's obviously corrupt and bought by Manchester City or whatever. There's clear evidence out there that he is corrupt, and he is completely against, and he is in the pocket of City. So. But no, the overarching thing is that there was a reoccurring theme in other principles and other basics surrounding the squad. So, yeah, we need to score goals, but we also need we need to play completely different to the way we were playing. And I sort of lost my spot here, so I'm gonna have to pull these things back up so I could find it, because I didn't have time to label them like I usually do. So Erik Ten Hag was summoned to a meeting at Carrington with Omar Barada and Dan Ashworth this morning, where he was informed that it was over. The meeting has been described as respectful and dignified. Ten Hag's conduct off the field remained decent to the end. And it did, and I think that was, the best and correct way to really go about these things. He didn't really, he kind of handled his own. I think he knew that it was kind of sort of towards the end. I think he was hoping that he could get a little bit of luck And maybe he'd be able to turn it around, but obviously things didn't go his way. And it was time to go. It was time to go, and it was the correct decision. Rasmus Højlund posted to Instagram picture of him and Erik Ten Hag saying thanks for everything, boss. Wish you all the best in the future. Um, um, and then Chris Wheeler coming out saying Erik Ten Hag's final Manchester United press conference for Wednesday's game against Leicester was done after the West Ham game yesterday and will never be aired. Which is interesting. Ruud Van Nistelrooy won't do a press conference before Leicester, but is expected to speak afterwards, which I think is the correct move. Ruud has to focus on getting the team ready for Wednesday. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of speculation. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. It's kind of a circus. At Manchester United at the moment, there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of news. Hopefully something is accurate, but obviously you can't air the Ten Hag thing because he's no longer the manager, and we don't need to throw Ruud to do a press conference with a million stupid questions while we have a match that we need to win. And it's important for Ruud to get a good start on Wednesday. I mean, it's in 2 days time. It's coming quick, so I think it's a good scenario. I think they've set him up good. Come speak after the match. Match is over. You can speak, do your piece. And then we got to get focused because we're playing Chelsea. And it's going to be a tough match. And, I hope we're prepared and ready for it. So, yeah. Ruben Amorim, because he's had his own press conference, has been asked about Manchester United links in the last hour. He was doing his own press conference for Sporting Lisbon. And he has said that I was already expecting this question, and obviously I'm not going to talk about the future because otherwise I'll have to comment. I'm very proud to be sporting coach. That's all. So, not denying the job, not really, kind of throwing his hat out there, kind of leaving it open, I guess, which is probably usual as well. So this is what I kind of wanted to get to here. So Jim Ratcliffe has underlined that Manchester United will pay for a new manager if required. So approaching an in-work candidate is not an issue to them. And this is coming from Graham Bailey. And I think this is absolutely huge if it is accurate and true. Because if we can pay, if Sir Jim Ratcliffe is laying it down saying that, we got to pay, or it's not a problem to pay, then the possibilities of getting manager from somewhere definitely open up a lot more than just the free agent candidates, which I think is huge. And I asked, and I said yesterday, I said I don't care anymore. I don't care. I said, if you are serious, INEOS, you sack this manager and you go and buy one if you need to, if need be. Whoever the best candidate is that you decide for your project and the one that you think is going to be the best candidate for Manchester United, I don't care. Find the money, do whatever you got to do, but show us that you are serious. Show us that, the things you have told us since you've gotten here isn't just bullshit. And show us that you are actually and want to succeed at this club. Show us that, your plan to win the Premier League in about 3 years' time or whatever they said is real. And to me, that would be an indication of, we've sacked Erik Ten Hag. We have to pay him. But, we're serious about this project. And, there's a candidate out there. He's in a job. We're going to have to pay to get him. But we think he's the best fit. And we'll pay. We'll pay for him. And we will go and do it one way or another. So I think it's, if it's true and it's accurate, I think it's a big statement by Sir Jim Ratcliffe willing to, lay down some money. Because there's a lot of money being spent here, but it shows that they're serious. It shows that they're not really messing around. He'll probably do an MUTV interview, probably, most likely. But he's gonna have to speak to the press after the match. He has to do a post-match interview. So I think they've kind of gotten out of the pre-match press conference because Ten Hag filled the requirement, but we're not, we've probably gotten granted permission not, to air it because he's no longer the manager, so it doesn't make sense. And then, they've probably gotten able to not have Ruud do it. And then obviously he's gonna have to do it after the match. It is a requirement, so he'll have to do it one way or another. for sure. Moving forward, some players and staff were relieved. They had been disconcerted by Erik Ten Hag's recent choices, and and they felt he was giving special treatment to certain players. Well, I'm sure there's some players there that are relieved. I'm sure this is how things go. Obviously, and this come from Time Sports, so I think this is a very credible source. But this happens all the time. This happens all the time. I'm sure there's players that are, happy that Ten Hag is gone. I'm sure there's a lot of players that, or some players or people within the staff that weren't happy with the way he coaches. It's a normal thing. Not everybody gets along. Not everybody agrees with, the way things are going. And certainly, I would say I question, certainly some of his decisions and players that he picked and favoritism at times, and not really being able to drop certain players or play players that we felt like deserved an opportunity or deserved the chance. And I'm not here for this, the Sancho people that are still at the club that have hated Erik Ten Hag. They're going to come out and scream that they were right and this and that and whatever. I'm not here for that bullshit because, again, Sancho never handled his own the correct way. Whether they were right initially, I'm not... I didn't want to use the pick because I felt like it was disrespectful, but they used the pick and I kind of I didn't have time to really, I kind of felt like it was a bit disrespectful to use that picture, but they used it, so and it is what it is. But yeah, I felt like it was the bubble has popped. You could say that. Richard saying yes, it has to be more than throwing money at players. We have to develop the players and develop the club. Well, I think they're trying to do that. And I don't think we're necessarily per se throwing money at players anymore, which is good. But we need to do what we need to do. We should be united first and not player FC. I think a lot of us are united first, but unfortunately, there is always some type of a player FC. There is always some weirdos kind of out there. I never really understand them. I call them weirdos because I don't get it. I don't get it. How you really support a player over the manager? How you can take a player's side over the manager. A lot of people do it, unfortunately, out there. I think it's more privy because the internet is there. I think back in the day they may have sort of existed, but nobody really gave them, you didn't really hear too much of them. So this also following up from Time Sports saying Erik Ten Hag's authority waned over the summer, partly because United finished 8th, but also because INEOS met with candidates to replace him. The players didn't listen to him anymore, one locker room insider said recently. I feel like that was a little bit evident though. It did, we've questioned that prior. We said, it sort of looked like some of the players were kind of giving up on him. I don't think they necessarily gave up per se on the badge and the shirt. But again, I think it was evident that there was a disconnect between what the manager wanted, what the manager was demanding, and what we were kind of seeing on the pitch. And I think you've seen it in the dip of performances of players. That there was kind of a lack of belief in what the manager, in the manager. I think we were seeing that on the pitch. 100%. So, I legit was not interested much in in the Leicester game, but now hyped for Ruud's first outing. G's INEOS talk about timing. Well, it's definitely brought excitement back. It's definitely brought a little bit of positivity. I think a lot of people are feeling today, in the fan base, kind of like a little bit of weight has been lifted off of our shoulders, that pressure, because I think the pressure of us being so bad, the pressure of us being in 14th, the pressure of us being absolutely a joke, mid-table banter club, a little bit has been relieved in the fact that, the possibility can be anything. And now, because, with a different person at the helm of the squad comes with different ideas, comes with a different setup, comes with a different display. So it can turn around. It can become positive very, very quick. And I think we needed a kind of, we needed a little bit of freshness. And we were tired of the same old thing. And I think a lot of us knew, as long as Erik Ten Hag stays, not much is really going to change. He's not going to change it up. He's been here for 3 seasons. We knew him very well. We knew how he was. You know what I mean? We knew the change wasn't going to come under the manager. The only change that would have come is somehow if you found a spark within the team and we started performing. But in terms of like freshness and ideas, and maybe like a style or a setup or a system that was never coming from him. So you know, now it's almost sky's the limit because the possibilities are endless, and the season is still salvageable. The season is still salvageable. I'm laughing at you guys. Kalines is saying, Ruud Van Nistelrooy looks disapproving look in that packer. It is a funny picture. It kind of looks like he's like, the hell is that? What is going on? Ray saying there is a manager out there that can fit what INEOS playing style, and there absolutely is, and it is their job to identify, and it is their job to bring him in. You know, we're allowed to hold our opinions. We could believe one manager over the other. Again, but you know, I think something that's important is that while Manchester United fans can have opinions and we can discuss, you know, and we could sort of kind of argue reasons as to why, I think Manchester United fans got to take, there's some fans out there, they need to take you know, a step back. They need to take a step back because there's too many times I see United fans are like, you back Ten Hag, it's your fault that we are where we are because you wanted him to stay in the summer. You know, I think that's ridiculous. One fan should not be blaming the status of the club on another fan because they had an opinion and they had a belief on one way or the other. I think that's ridiculous because we have no impact at the end of the day. You know, there was people ranting and raving, asking for Ten Hag to go out for months and months and months, for a season. You know, and there was people like us who wanted him to stay and be given a chance. We had no influence over whether he actually got sacked or not. You know, we weren't the ones making the decision. It's not our fault. There are people in charge of the club. There are people that paid money to be in charge of the club. It's on them, and they should not be making actual decisions in that manner based on our opinions, because our opinions are constantly changing. It should never be the fans' fault. We are fans. You know, our job is to go support the club in the ways that we feel like we need to support the club. But other than that, you know, I always hate that argument. It makes me feel sad that fans attack other fans saying, it's your fault, we're here, you're the reason why the standards are so low. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, listen, some people have some crazy opinions, sure, but it's not their fault. We're not in charge of the club, dude. We can't, you know, it's not like because I wanted Erik Ten Hag to stay, it's actually the reason he stayed. You know, there's people in charge of the club. They made their own review, their own decision. Sure, I backed it, but it ain't my fault. I didn't, you know, I didn't walk into Manchester United and say he's fucking staying. You know. So I do predict the bounce because Ruud will demand the dressing room. Well, I think there's a certain respect for Ruud out there, so I think we'll definitely see a bounce. What's going to be Ruud's first formation then? It's going to be interesting. I don't know if somebody can take the time while we're doing the show to go look at what he was doing when he was managing in the Netherlands, and you know, that would be good because I didn't have time to do it. And obviously we could discuss it later on or either in this show or another show. So Lyle saying it's a 4-4-2 classic from his days. I don't think so, but what was he doing at his job before he came to be assistant manager? Because I think we need to know. And we have a few more updates that we need to do. Yeah, so this is one. United have been drawing up a contingency plan in recent weeks, and a list of around 5 managers have been considered. Ruud Van Nistelrooy's interim will give the board time to go through a thorough appointment process. So that checks out with me and it makes sense. That's coming from Melissa Reddy, of course. And that is the last update that we had before I went live. You guys are telling me Amir Fakir is here saying that Julian Nagelsmann is open to becoming a Manchester United manager. Well, I am going to go check because obviously news has been coming out while we've been going live. This is just the news that I've been able to pull up that's happened sort of over the past few hours. that were the most up to date when we went live, but I'm sure there's a shit ton of news that has come out, so we're gonna go and we're gonna do that as well. But you guys are telling me 4-3 is his preferred position. 4-3 was what Ruud Van Nistelrooy was doing at PSV. Van Nistelrooy favored a 4-3 formation that looked to build up slowly from the back in central areas before hitting direct balls to the wingers. So yeah, I'm not against the 4-3-3. I did see something about Ruud saying that he likes his team to have the ball, so we might see a little bit more possession based than kind of what I've been asking for in terms of directness. But I guess we got to see. Let me check the internet. I'm gonna pull you guys up side by side so I can see what you guys are saying. Listen, it might not be though. It might not be, because I think there's obviously differences in Ruud's personality. I think there's differences in Ruud's ideas in his brain. So it might be similar. And maybe that's why he was brought in, because it was similar to Erik Ten Hag, which makes sense because he's his assistant coach. You kind of have to, got to have people on the same page. You can't have somebody that is so attack oriented and focused in a completely different way than the manager, if the manager is playing possession based. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it is going to be the same exact, though. It might be similar. We might play a form of possession, but it could be a better form of possession, because I think there's different ways to play possession. Also the shape will be different in a certain way, and what he asks the team to do on the pitch will be different, and his setup will be different, just because it sounds a little bit, to build up slowly from the back and in central areas before hitting direct balls to the wingers. And he might not even necessarily do that. He might not necessarily do that. Anyway, so let me check, because we're just getting news, like news on top of news on top of news on top of news. So I want to go to the last thing that I seen. The season is 100% still salvageable, 100%. So, I think sky's the limit on that. Erik Ten Hag at the airport this afternoon ahead of returning to the Netherlands. So Erik Ten Hag has left, of course. He has gone back to the Netherlands. He's gone back home. So, it is what it is. I wish him the best in his future. But we are. Sky Sports reporting Erik Ten Hag did not expect to be sacked and was shocked when he received the news, reports. Well, that is the ruthlessness. And I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe kind of pulled the trigger on this one. I think we're going to get that update. I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe pulled the trigger on it. I think he gave a little bit of the benefit of the doubt to his to his CEO, his director of football, his technical director. I think he gave them an opportunity to continue to back Erik Ten Hag. But it wasn't good enough, and I think Sir Jim, like us, absolutely fed up. I think he was disgusted with where we were at. I don't think he thinks it was good enough, and I think he pulled the trigger and said, "Enough's enough. It's time for him to fucking go. Sack him. Get him out." And he let Omar and them know, and he said, let's get to work. We got to get somebody else in. The season is still salvageable. So I do think it kind of seems like that, because I think the other men, I think they would have given him a little bit more time, but I think Sir Jim's had enough. I think Sir Jim is somewhere similar in the same boat as the fans, as many of the fans, the majority of the fan base, for sure. Amir is saying, wishing Ruud all the very best while we find our way back to where we belong. Yeah, I hope he does a really good job. I really do. I wish him all the best, and I hope it's going to be something good to watch. Lyle kind of agreeing, saying, yeah, it sounds like Sir Jim made that call. I agree. Richard saying, in fairness, I think they have been patient with him. They have. And I think they went out on a limb to keep him as well. I think they actually did a favor to him, because I think it was easier for them to sack him in the summer, and I think they gave an opportunity. And like I was saying yesterday, we started. Your job is on the line. You almost got replaced. You were given an opportunity to get a third season. You were given an opportunity. And the way we started the season, behind, We always looked behind. We didn't look ready. It wasn't a strong start. It was just like he wasn't prepared to start this third season. Like, and in my mind, it's like, dude, it's almost like he kind of, it felt like he kind of just didn't give a shit, you know? Um, I don't know, because to me, in my mind, it's like, that they were talking to other people. It was a possibility that they could have replaced you. They didn't replace you, but that, like, you have to come and start strong. You have to show that you are the right candidate for the job. And we started very, very poor. We started very, very poor. We never looked up the seed. We've been struggling the whole entire time. Since the beginning of the season. And that to me was the most disappointing thing, because for me, I expected, I'm like, dude, you go out there and you make sure that we're ready to go. And we weren't ready to go. So, if he does get the job, am I going to be the most hated guy in here? No, we're not going to hate you. I mean, it's not your fault. Just because you want him to get the job, this INEOS is making the call on that. So, how can we hate you? How can we hate you, Lions? We can't hate you for your opinion. And it's not like you're the one that made the decision. You know what I mean? No. Don't say things like that. It also feels like Erik Ten Hag sacked himself. He might have sacked, yeah. I mean, he did in a way. He did in a way, because I think his stubbornness led to his sacking. Hold on, because my timeline is jumping all over the place. Thomas Frank has emerged as an early favorite to succeed Erik Ten Hag as Manchester United manager. Well, I think he is one for sure. That we could prize out of there. They can pay for that. Jamie Jackson is saying that Thomas Frank has emerged as an early favorite to succeed Erik Ten Hag as Manchester United manager. There's people out there saying 620 million pounds was spent on Erik Ten Hag, and he failed to implement the style of play, and he had to go. Manchester United's new recruitment officer, Christopher Ravel, previously worked with Nagelsmann while he was in charge of RB Leipzig. So there is a link to Julian Nagelsmann, who is clearly already, obviously, has a relationship with Julian Nagelsmann. He is a recruitment officer that could sway, and if the relationship was good, and I think it was at RB Leipzig, and I think they did a good job at Leipzig, it could be as well. Again, Thomas Frank has emerged as an early favorite to succeed Erik Ten Hag as the Manchester United manager after the Dutchman was sacked on Monday. The last three permanent Manchester United managers signed new contracts and were then sacked within 10 months. Mourinho, and 4 months Solskjaer and Ten Hag. A club that is never far from a disaster at the moment. INEOS have to get this appointment right, and I do agree with that. They do. And I think there's a better chance of them getting it right, because again, unfortunately, Erik Ten Hag was appointed by the previous regime. So let's see what the new regime, let's see who they get for their project, and let's see how solid this project is going to be. So Sky Cava is saying one source says Kieran McKenna is back in the frame for the Manchester United job. Now, I will say this. I think the football that Ipswich play is good. It's a little bit concerning. Now, I don't know if it's the quality of players, but they do concede a shit ton of goals. But I will give them credit for the fact that a large majority of the game, sometimes obviously they've been blown out, but I think, when they play games, they give teams a game, they fight, they battle. Sometimes they're just outclassed by, the quality in the differences in teams, but when they played Liverpool, they gave them a match. As of recent, the last match that they played, they gave him a match. Even being a man down, they still gave him a match. I don't, he's not at the top of my list. But I don't think he's per se necessarily bad, and somebody that I at least like the football of the attacking football. But I don't know if I would put him in the top 5. I don't think he is the one really. I have my concerns between him, just similar to kind of like how Ruud. I don't know he necessarily has the experience, um, to take the club forward. It is being reported by Sky saying Ruud van Nistelrooy sees this opportunity as a way to get his hands on the manager's job. I mean, it could very well be. I think a lot of fans won't be too happy about it because they'll see it similar as to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it could very well go that way. It doesn't necessarily have to go that way, but I think a lot of people are going to make the comparisons, and it makes sense. So, Sky Kev is saying our colleagues at Sky Germany are looking into the Julian Nagelsmann to Manchester United rumors. Some players are hoping that Ruud van Nistelrooy will become the next permanent coach. Well, I don't like that because I don't give a shit what the players want. We need the best possible manager. And they've done this before, so I don't really give a shit if the players are looking for Van Nistelrooy to become the manager, because they did the same shit with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and they ended up turning their backs on him anyway later on. They were like, yeah, he's a nice guy, but he's not a serious coach. So again, I don't give a shit what the players want, because some of you shouldn't even be here and some of you aren't going to be here when we get to the summer at some point. So 100%. Rob Dawson reporting no training today after Erik Ten Hag left. The players are scheduled to train under Ruud van Nistelrooy on Tuesday, so no training today. Richard saying it's like any job, it's all about results. And as a wise man once told me, don't tell me about the work you done yesterday because we paid you for that. And I absolutely love that. I don't know who told you that, Richard, but that's actually a fantastic statement. It's almost like, I kind of been saying that for the past few shows. It's not about what you've done for us. I mean, sure, we can take that into consideration, but this Manchester United job and this sport, it's not about necessarily what you have done. It's more about what are you doing right now for us. And that's kind of why I was over it, because it's like, I shifted from, I thought the 2 trophies in 2 seasons was enough to at least give him an opportunity. But what he was doing for us right now, wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough, and those 2 trophies ain't gonna ain't gonna save him. You can't keep using that the whole time to continue forward in the season we are in. What are you doing for me now? This is a performance and results based position and game. And it's about what are you doing for us now? Not what you've done, but what are you doing for us now? And what he was doing for us now wasn't good. Brentford is having a tough season, and let's see how Frank gets through this season, then we shall see. Is Thomas Frank best in class according to Ratcliffe? Nah, I don't think necessarily Ratcliffe. Sadiq, I don't think Ratcliffe is really looking at I don't think that's his per se favorite candidate. It was reported that Thomas Tuchel was his favorite candidate. I don't know if he had a second favorite candidate. I don't think Ratcliffe is necessarily the one sounding that out. I think that's more of his people that are taking a look at that and considering. And I do understand why, because of the style of play. And again, you have to have as many options as possible. You have to be open to as many options as possible. And I think we've seen that already from INEOS, the way they kind of handle things. They sort of get as many options as possible. They take a look at everything, they evaluate everything, and then they make the decision the best that they think is the best. Lion saying Zidane doesn't want the United job. Apparently, he would prefer the French job. Yeah, I don't think I don't think he'll come to Manchester United. Richard saying, when he moved to Man United this summer, he never moved with the idea of taking over from Erik Ten Hag, said Van der Kroon. It was back to his real love. He is not an opportunist. And yeah, I don't think that was ever a question. I think that's kind of a plot out of a story that, Ruud van Nistelrooy, I was like, I'm going to go to United and I'm going to secretly, take the assistant job because I know that Erik Ten Hag is going to get sacked and I'm going to take his job so I could sneak my way in there. No, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. I think he went there to try and help Erik Ten Hag. I think he went there because he loves Manchester United. I think he went there because he's seen it as an opportunity to work at a club that he loves. And I think he saw it as a big opportunity, even to be just the assistant manager and be some sort of successful, that he could work with Erik Ten Hag. And it hasn't worked out. And now, obviously, you move forward, and he's being put in a position in interim. And certainly, I think, personally, I think he probably feels like if he does a good job, and he is successful, he could maybe get the full-time job. Barring from what I think, but I think it is definitely, certainly a possibility. Ray's saying next move for United, move players out, and that's what I'm saying. Well, the next move is to really get the correct manager. Then it would obviously be, move United for United to move the players that we need to move out, and this is what I'm saying. Like, INEOS can really do a job here, because the manager that they bring in, if it is a really good manager, a high quality manager, and it fits their project, that's step one. We try to finish the best we can in the season, and then this is what I'm saying. When we get to the summer window, they really have to deal with the players that can no longer continue here, that have failed, and just don't fit this club or don't fit the project. They must be moved on. Now, maybe we can move a couple in January, but January is always tougher to do business. You know what I mean? So, really, the summer is where I want to see excommunicado of players out of the club. Jason Gala said, I knew I made the wrong career choice when I heard of Ten Hag's compensation package. I mean, yeah. Lyle saying United in its current state is not attractive to Zidane. He is a manager that works well with the functioning team already. Well, it's not even a functioning team. It's more just a functioning overall structure. And really, it's only been Real Madrid, obviously a team that he's coached. I think I think Zidane is kind of weird. I don't think he's kind of a guy that wants to take really any managerial job. I think he has a couple, one or two projects associated with teams that he loves. Zidane never wanted to come play in the Premier League. I don't think he has any attraction to the Premier League. I don't think he wants to be in England. So I don't think he wants anything to do with managing any sort of English club, whether, I don't even think if Manchester City offered him the job and they are well structured, right, and they have a good team, I don't think he would come. I don't. Now, maybe he might be a little bit more inclined, but I don't think. I think there's like one or two jobs out there. Maybe Juventus, maybe the French job, something like that. And that's about it, because he kind of is okay with just sitting Richard saying the first thing I would do is get Alvaro Fernandez back. Well, that we can definitely do in January, and I think it's something that we should be looking to do 100%. On Amos as a backup. Well, Amos didn't even get any minutes, and he was on the bench. But I mean, we can get money, because I think so far I think the likes of Anthony is over at the club, for sure, 110%. I think that I think with the sacking of Ten Hag, I mean, I think Anthony was gone anyway, but I think especially with the sacking of Erik Ten Hag, I think Anthony's career is absolutely done. It's interesting what could maybe possibly happen with Sancho. I know they have a deal, but I don't know if maybe he would want to break that deal. I think I don't think he'll come back to Manchester United, but always a possibility maybe on the manager we get. A couple of his friends are still at the club. And I don't know, how he necessarily feels at Chelsea. I wouldn't want him back, obviously, but he is apparently still contracted, and maybe the club don't want him back either. So, but these are things that we got to think about and keep an eye open to, because yeah, loan deal sees him leave. Yeah, probably, most likely, unless somehow he could break it or whatever he want to, but I don't think so. So, yeah, I don't really know the fine details of that, but Shaw, Mount, and Anthony are done at the club. Well, Shaw 100% is done. I don't know what they plan to do with Mason Mount. Could very well be, but I think for sure Shaw and Anthony definitely gone, definitely done. I heard they were making a suitcase out of Anthony as a present for Erik Ten Hag. So what did Sancho say? I don't have any of the Insta Twitter and stuff. Sancho didn't really say anything. All he did was post a black screen with two emojis, and the emoji was a wave emoji and then an emoji of a bald person. So basically he said bye bye Ten Hag without saying actual words. Again, he's for me to do that while you're at Chelsea and your future lies with Chelsea just shows his attitude. Like for me, he is disgusting. Like he is a fucking, he's just a little like rat. Like what, you immature bro, you're gone from United. Whatever happened, bro. You don't see Cristiano Ronaldo putting up a fucking post. Ronaldo's moved on, bro. Ronaldo's moved on. You know what I mean? Ronaldo not putting up no post. Ronaldo don't give a fuck. He said what he had to do. He's gone. He's moved on. You don't see him doing that. Meanwhile, Jadon Sancho, who's literally gone from the club because his loan deal is going to take him into Chelsea, and he's never coming back to Manchester United. This guy putting up a black screen of basically saying bye bye Erik Ten Hag. Like you are the most immature. You probably are one of the people that was one of the most unfit people to ever touch the kit at Manchester United. You are disgusting that you are a Manchester. I mean, what kind of fucking mentality and attitude is that? You like that is loser mentality. So I never want to see him anywhere near Manchester United ever again. Disgrace. He is a disgrace. Whatever it was, he's still a disgrace. Like he is a loser. He literally is a loser. In my opinion. You are not a professional. You are not a fucking professional doing things like that. The Sancho deal includes an obligation for Chelsea to sign the England international 24 between 20 to 25 million next summer. Good. That's good money recouped. And we get rid of a player that is a total prat and a total jackass. So, good. Ray saying, why you bring a player back that he thinks is bigger than the manager? Well, you don't. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if he would. I was saying more of maybe he wanted to come back because the manager is gone, but obviously we should definitely not be bringing him back. And I don't think he is going to come back, and obviously he can't come back because of what Lyle just said. A couple of Manchester United players expect Ruud van Nistelrooy to be the next manager. I mean, I don't fucking know. That's coming from Sky Kava. I don't know why they expect that. Did they just think he's that good? Do they just believe in that? Rob Dawson, ESPN, saying sources on both sides have played down speculation that United are interested in Xavi. So, coming from the club, coming from Xavi's side, it doesn't seem like Xavi is going to be the actual manager going forward. INEOS are reportedly considering Thomas Frank, Xavi, but I think Xavi's out. Julian Nagelsmann, Ruben Amorim for a mid-season managerial appointment. Sebastian Honeb, Alonso, and McKenna are admired but are seen as options for the summer. Rumors also link Solskjaer, Potter, and Ange to the role, which I haven't, but they're not credible sources. So, I think Solskjaer, Potter, and Ange definitely not coming. And for now, Ruud van Nistelrooy is expected to manage a few games before INEOS make a final decision. So that's kind of the rundown of that. Sky Kava reporting that it would be considered complicated to get Julian Nagelsmann out of the Germany job. It definitely very well may be complicated, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. So, Thomas Frank on whether he wants the Manchester United job. He said it's a very delicate question. I've got a big responsibility to Brentford, the fans, the owner, the leadership, and the staff. I've said it many times, but I'm very happy here. It's one of the best clubs in England. That doesn't mean that you won't leave though. Thomas Frank again that's from Jamie Jackson. We went over that. I'm sorry if we say the same thing because I follow so many aggregator accounts and they always repost the same thing, and then it's hard to get onto the next piece of news. So, um, and I'm going through the news as we're going live. So, a couple of Manchester United players. Yeah, we already did that one. And here we go again. Dermot Gallagher coming out on that PR for the on the Ref Watch, the on the Sky Sports, the Ref Watch, the PR bullshit. Says that the lit tackle was not a penalty. I really thought the ref would stick with his on-field decision. No, you didn't, because he's a crooked fuck. And every time a referee is sent over to the monitor, they never stick with their original decision. They always overturn it, and give a penalty. So you're full of shit right away. And he was like, the more I saw it, the more I thought it was not a penalty. But he is corrupt, bro. He needs investigation, and he needs to be kicked out of football, bro, because he was paid 20,000 pounds by the fucking UAE, the United Arab Emirates, to host a match. He's never given Manchester City a red card ever. And he's given Manchester City the least amount of yellow cards out of any top club between Manchester United, Liverpool, and Arsenal. He is clearly bought and paid for, and he is clearly in their pocket, and he is clearly has, a hate for Manchester United, a bias against Manchester United, and he does help out Manchester City when they play in big games against other top teams like Liverpool or Arsenal. So, he's got to get, there should be a high investigation into him. I mean, it is disgusting. 18 minutes ago from Rob Dawson, Thomas Frank is high up on Manchester United's list of manager targets. United are set to inquire about his availability as they search for the next permanent boss. United Muppeteers coming with an important decision. Basically saying, I promise you no players are aware of any decision over short or long-term managers as of now. They were in the dark on the sacking, and they were. I think that's true. And in the dark in the summer, and I think they were, and that's true. And many are waiting to find out what the future holds, knowing as we do that Ruud Van Nistelrooy for now is the guy. And I think that is a very good and logical thing from the United Muppeteers, and I think it's accurate, and I think it's true, because they were in the dark about, they were only notified as the news literally broke, and the way they were notified was in some sort of WhatsApp. They had no clue that this was coming. They didn't know that he was going to be sacked. So I think it is true that they are in the dark. So these reports coming out talking about they think Van Nistelrooy is going to be the manager. It's solely, either just speculation, made up rumors, or it could just be their personal opinion. But there is no concreteness to that. It's not like they know something going on, behind the scenes and what INEOS are going to do. So anything like that, I think the players are in the dark. I think it's good that the players are in the dark. They shouldn't really have any say. They shouldn't have any power to it. It should all be INEOS, and it should be the best decision made for the club, and, regardless of the players. And if a player has a fucking problem with it, they can voice their concerns, and if they can't get over it, then you can get out of the club, and leave, because we don't want you here. We don't want problem players at this club anymore. A small clause, yeah, they're not gonna finish below 11th. And it wasn't 11th. It was like something like 15th or something like that. It was even low. It was really actually where we're trying to finish right now under Ten Hag. But obviously, Lyle saying Ruud saving the season most likely keeps him until the summer. Thomas Frank saying the standard manager bullshit. Of course. I mean, what else is he gonna say? Lion saying I would love a charismatic personality like a Klopp or something. I mean, we definitely need a character. We definitely need a personality. But we do need a manager that has balls. We need a manager that is a risk taker. We need a manager that, can you got to be a leader, man. You got to be a leader. You got to have personality. You have to have a character. You have to be a good manager. You have to have You have to have these qualities as a Manchester United manager. If you don't, the job will swallow you up one way or another. I think, Ali was a nice guy. I think he was missing certain characteristics. Job swallowed him up. I think Mourinho was certainly a character, um, and it still swallowed him up. You know what I mean? Um, Listen, you gotta have this certain personality. You gotta have this certain attitude to be Manchester United manager. Otherwise, it's going to absolutely just destroy you. Michael Oliver, big Newcastle fan too. I mean, he's just a fucking. Richard Hawking saying you should not be allowed to referee, and I have to ask the question: if Erik Ten Hag can lose his job, why not this corrupt bastard? Because he's being protected for whatever reason. He is being protected. But he should absolutely be able to lose his job. Somebody put up a post yesterday and they were like, what league do you think Michael Oliver should be reffing at? And it was like Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two. And I was like, where's the option for none? He shouldn't be involved in football at all. I mean, it's obvious that he is corrupt. You know what I mean? It's obvious. But I guess the corruption goes to somewhere else because he's obviously clearly backed and protected and he's not being investigated, not being looked into. So, if you smash the like button, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. If you haven't done so and you want to help us grow the channel, please smash the like button. It's important. It helps the channel grow. It really is important. It takes 2 seconds of the time. And if you're not a subscriber and you want to join our community and get involved in the chat, no person is turned away, no person is shut down. Everybody is addressed. Everybody's comment is heard. So do that, subscribe, hit the little bell icon, turn on notifications. Thank you for supported the channel in any way already. Greatly appreciated. Ray saying Thomas Frank don't do bad choice. I don't know if you meant not. I don't know if you meant that is a bad choice or that's not a bad choice. Lion saying like, why can't we look at who the hell is that? Serena Wigwin. I don't even know who that is. We're gonna sign a woman manager. Can't do that. Come join the community, Richard says. Yes. Again, we have more news. Alien Tenno is here. Big up RDE and chat. It's always sad to sack a manager, but we're Manchester United bottom line. And yeah, I'm with you there, Alien. Listen, I'm not against women lions, but I just don't know if that aspect necessarily works in terms of first of all, the whole, I know men go and manage women's sports, but obviously there's a reason why, women are not managing a squad of men, we're not going to get into it, but, back to what Alien said, Alien Tenno, big up to yourself as well. 100% it's always sad to sack a manager, I think there's some people out there throwing a party, a fiesta that he's been sacked. They're really celebrating it. I'm not really celebrating it. I'm sad that it hasn't worked out. It's unfortunate. I wanted it to work, but it was absolutely, bottom line, we're Manchester United. We cannot be 14th. We cannot be going the direction we had to go. We cannot have the results we're doing. One win in the last 8 matches. We had 1 win. I think about 5 draws and 3 losses. Or 2 losses. Something like that. It's unacceptable. It had to be done. It had to be done. We have certain standards at this club that need to be upheld, no matter where we are. No matter, how good we actually are. There's certain standards that need to be upheld. So I'm glad you jumped in as well, because, I always like what you have to say too, Alien. Lion saying if there's nobody that's a standout manager, let's be creative, and she wouldn't take any bullshit. Well, I don't know. I don't know her, so I can't comment on it, really. I can't. I know nothing about her. I didn't even know she existed until you put her name in the chat. So, yeah. But I don't think it's likely to happen. I don't think we're gonna be the pioneers of that. Lions. Dalit Mazawari Vavel is 3 big connections to Nagelsmann straight away. So I would be very, very excited by Julian Nagelsmann. I think he is a top candidate. I don't, it doesn't mean that it'll work out. It doesn't mean that he will succeed, but I like him. But I'm going to try and keep an open mind going forward. And whoever they kind of decide to go with, I guess, we'll see where it goes. I have a preference, but I don't want to get caught up in all of this because I did it with Ten Hag and looked how it turned out. Um, so I'm not really trying to bite too much into it. Rob Dawson said, yeah, we already reported that. Erik Ten Hag's first and last starting XIs as Manchester United manager. His first starting XI was De Gea, Dalot, Maguire, Martinez, Shaw, Fred, McTominay, Fernandes, Sancho, Rashford, and Eriksen. Um, and Eriksen started up top. I think it was in like a false nine. And his last starting XI was Onana, Mazzawari, Delit, Martinez, Dalot, Casemiro, Eriksen, Fernandez, Garnacho, Rashford, and Hoyland. Bruno was the captain. Bruno was the captain. A lot of people are buying into Nagelsmann. A lot of people I think are excited by Nagelsmann. I'm excited. I'm excited by Nagelsmann. Um, Alien saying if INEOS are serious and want us to get back to the top, forget all these managers being spoken about. Only Zizou can take the job now. Well, I don't think Zizou wants to come with us. So, you could try. Listen, sometimes, um, there's not much you can do. You can try. You can certainly try. And you can try and persuade, and you can try and but you can't force the man. You can't. We can't kidnap Zidane, tie him up. We can't kidnap his family and hold them hostage and make him become the Manchester United manager. I wouldn't want that anyway. But I'm saying we can't force him into being the manager. Like if the guy doesn't want to come, if he doesn't want to go to England, if he doesn't want to go to Manchester United, there's only so much you can actually do. You know what I mean? Um, we have to get somebody that wants the job as well. Like we can't just go and get Zizou. And I don't I do think as well, Alien, that I don't think Zizou is per se the only one that can really take the job. I think there is a few candidates out there that they can take the job and they could be good. Just because just like that, like even Zizou taking it, there's no guarantee that Zizou would do a good job. There's no guarantee that Zizou would be successful in any form. Just like any other manager that we're going to pick. Now, some people might have a strong opinion about it, but there's no way to actually tell what's going to happen. It's going to unfold before our eyes, so we gotta see. Sources close to Van Nistelrooy suggest he will not be viewing the job in a temporary capacity, and he will give everything to steer United in the right direction. He already commands the dressing room and is held in a high esteem by the sporting structure, and that is coming from Sky. Well, I actually, I don't know. Sky makes me a little bit cautious because I think Sky say a lot of bullshit on Manchester United's name. They've been proven to say some things that are bullshit. Sometimes they say credible things. Obviously they're the legacy media, but sometimes Sky just say, they just make shit up being part of the legacy media, as the legacy media likes to do. I don't necessarily know. A source close to Van Nistelrooy. I mean, who is this fucking source? And I'm kind of tired of that whole source shit. A source close to Van Nistelrooy. Who is the source? Who is it? Like, start telling us sources so we can, really believe you if you want us to believe you. I don't know. Like, it's just, um, Erik Ten Hag has apparently been blamed for the injury crisis. Apparently their bodies couldn't handle it. Lisandro Martinez has put out a post as well, as you expected, on Instagram about Erik Ten Hag, basically saying, thanks for the trust you placed in me, coach. It's not the ending we hoped for, and we're really feeling it because responsibility is always shared. And I agree with Lisandro. But we hold on to the great memories of Wembley and your passion for United. Good luck and every success in the future. Yeah, I think there is definitely a few players in there that are certainly saddened by this. They're hurt by it. There's maybe a couple players that they're excited and happy because they didn't really like him too much. But obviously a player like, Lisandro Martinez, um obviously they loved Erik Ten Hag. They fought always for Erik Ten Hag. They respected Erik Ten Hag, and they're gonna be hurt and they're gonna be upset. That Erik Ten Hag is gone. Um, I'm just checking the rest of the other news because I have to read through this as we're going. There's a lot just random stuff being posted. And I'm making sure I'm grabbing everything. Sure, Garnacho is a little bit upset too. I mean, he might have not always agreed with Ten Hag. He might have not always got on with him, but obviously, Ten Hag always trusted Garnacho. Whether he was in good or bad form, he always pretty much stuck by him. And Ten Hag introduced us to Alejandro Garnacho. So, I'm sure, and even the likes of Kobe Mainu, this is the first time that they have to go through a manager necessarily, in the first team being sacked. Um, you know, it's an experience for them. For sure. And let me just see if I missed anything. Andre Onana has put up a picture of him and Erik Ten Hag lifting the one of the trophies they won. I think it's the Carabao Cup. Yeah, obviously he supported as well. And so far, we've pretty much covered everything. Thomas Frank is is in and around. And Julian Nagelsmann. So obviously we have to wait and see. I'm sure we're gonna get a lot more updates. A lot more stuff is going to break over the next, hours, and coming days as well. So I think we're all caught up on that front. Um, Lions saying that Jesus Martinez looked like he was going to burst into tears in his flash interviews yesterday. Um, yeah, I mean he was obviously hurt. I think he kind of felt like maybe he had a feeling, an indication that it was only a matter of time. I think he kind of knew that this was the beginning of the end. Um, where is Bruno saying? Bruno put up a post about Ten Hag. He put up a Instagram post. And he also addressed the fans. I actually have it right here, somewhere. Gotta find it because I didn't label these. Usually I have them labeled, so I know exactly where they are. But I didn't have time because I was already late to the initial news. So um, we are on a hunt now to find this. Where is it? World is uh I missed it. Where did it go? Ah, annoying. Where is it? I thought it was earlier in the isn't it earlier in the show? Am I wrong? I'm just going crazy now. Oh, here it is. Yeah, right. This is what Bruno said. Bruno made a whole post on Instagram. He said, "Thanks for everything, boss. I appreciate the trust because we went over this. You weren't in here, so I appreciate the trust in the moments we shared together. I wish you all the best." And then he kind of made a generalized statement saying, even knowing the last period hasn't been great from all of us, including the players, himself, Ten Hag, and he basically said, "I hope you fans can keep with you the good things Eric has done for our club." And that was his kind of statement to, around the situation, and a little bit to the fans. So, um, Alien said, Ruud will play a 4-4-2/352, rapid or rapier attacking football. If we go down, we go down swinging, and that's the United way. Well, I hope he does. I hope he does because that's kind of what I want. That's kind of what I want. That's kind of what I've been asking for. That's kind of what I've been hoping for. Um. So yeah, I kind of we need to play attacking football. We need to have confidence in ourselves. We need to find a little bit of that Manchester United fight, the Manchester United spirit that we kind of been missing for so long. And we kind of have to have that mentality and that attitude. I think it might be a little bit tough because the players have been suffering, um, you know, and have sort of had this kind of loser mentality for quite some time. But no, we need somebody that's going to instill that, and that's kind of what I want to see going in from the next manager. And I think again, I think for me, my number one candidate right now would probably be Julian Nagelsmann. I really like his style of play. I like his attitude. I think he's young. I think he kind of fits that profile, but I think the way he's able to implement football, I think some people might use what happened at Bayern, but I mean, look at Bayern; they've been sort of a mess. And I don't even think he did a bad job at Bayern. I think he probably needed a little bit more time. I think he actually did not. I think he was doing a pretty good job. I don't know what the thing with Bayern was. I think he's done a good job so far in his career. And to me, I like that football. I like his attitude. I like his mentality. I like how he sets his teams up. I like how he's able to kind of bring, his philosophy and kind of like his attitude to his teams and bring it to life on the pitch. So for me, I personally, I want Julian Nagelsmann as number one candidate. But obviously, as long as it's not like a Southgate, a Potter, or whatever. I don't really like Thomas Frank too much. But if it's not those first two, I will back whatever INEOS does. One will fill me with more excitement than the other, of course, but um, I'm gonna give them a shot at picking their first manager, and let's see how it goes because, they could get it right. And they could do something that we are not really expecting or we don't really think of, and maybe they get it right, and maybe it fits United and it fits the project. So um line saying, I hope you're right, Alien, but through diligent research during the stream we found out that Ruud played a 4-3-3 at PSV. Well, maybe he changes it for Manchester United slightly. He could play a 4-3-3 and it could still be a little bit more of a rapid attacking football. Listen, maybe he played in that way because of the players he had, and he's at that club and it's Dutch football. And this is what I'm saying. He doesn't necessarily have to play that way. Let's see how he's going to set up the team. But I mean, like Manchester United, he knows Manchester United. He knows the club, and he also, we have certain players there that we can play in a certain more direct way and maybe a better attacking way. So let's see what we got. Let's see what he's got for us planned. It could be something similar to what we've seen under Ten Hag. It could be something that resembles a little bit more of a traditional United way. So it's going to be interesting to see, and I think it's definitely bringing an excitement, and I think it's bringing some type of positivity back within the fan base, which is important as well. Alien saying United's midfield, Mainu, Gore, Collier, Lacey, believe in these lads because they have what it takes. Well, definitely, Mainu's already in there. I think Gore is increasingly looking like the one next up to kind of put his foot in the door in that area. So I'm excited by that. I think Collier maybe needs a little bit more time. Lacey obviously needs a little bit more time, but I think they are all top tier youth candidates, youth products. And yeah, it's gonna be good. Going to be good to watch, and I hope all of them make it in there, and I hope they can all have a big impact. I think obviously Maino was already in there and he's already had a big impact. Obviously he has a long time for his career going forward, and he has to develop and grow more, but Maino obviously being the number one, Gore looking most likely like the one that could probably take the biggest next step. But there's a lot of different aspects that is going to come out of this managerial change, and this is what I'm saying. We needed fresh ideas. We needed a new forward way. It clearly has gone sour. It clearly needed to happen. And now anything is possible. The manager could get in. He could really start promoting the youth. I think INEOS are really gonna look at that. I think they're gonna really take that into consideration. They are very heavily youth focused. I think it does belong at our club anyway. So we got to see what comes out of it. And Richard saying, yeah, I can see him playing a 4-4-2 with Xerxes slightly behind and Rasmus up front. Yeah, he could do that. The only thing is that we wouldn't necessarily have a sub for either one of them. And you got to be a little bit smart, because if you're going to start using, both strikers, um, you know, rotation wise, minutes wise, we won't really have a sub for them, which is our problem. If we're going to use two strikers, we obviously would need to go get a third. We can't get a third right now, but I mean, you could kind of rotate. The problem is that, like, even the likes of Anthony, the fact that he's out, we can't even really use for rotation purpose, because I would say maybe you would be able to swap Rashford up top and kind of use him as a third striker for rotation purposes, and then swap the wingers out as well. So I mean, we do have young Wheatley. I don't really feel like Wheatley is really ready from the couple times that I've seen him. I think he needs a lot more, but I mean, I guess as an option to rotate or something like that, maybe we could use him, but I just really don't think he is. I think he's a bit far off of it. I think he is a bit far off of it. There's a couple times I've seen him, he just doesn't. He looks a little bit lack for pace. He looks a little bit lack of strength. I think he needs to develop a little bit more. I don't know if we can necessarily rely on him as the third option. Alien saying you have to defend, but goals win you games. We have scored 8 goals in 9 Prem games. This is not Manchester United. And absolutely, 100% I agree with you. And we need to be more attacking. We need to be more threatening. And we need to be more clinical. We need to be more killers. Kind of similar to what Ten Hag was saying, but Ten Hag wasn't able to figure it out. He wasn't able to get that out of his squad. So I hope Ruud, whatever he tells them, whatever he kind of coaches them into, I hope he's able to get it done. In 73-74, we were entertained. Well, you still have, yeah, we already talked about that. Wheatley can hold it down as an option for some games. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I don't necessarily know. I think we got more breaking news, so let me just check real quick. Oh, we got a big update, guys. We got a big update. Big update. Wow, what is going on? So Ben Jacobs saying Manchester United have already approached Julian Nagelsmann, Xavi, and Thomas Frank, but now David Ornstein, and this is absolutely huge, is saying Manchester United working on a deal to appoint Ruben Amorim as head coach. Manchester United ready to pay 10 million release clause, plus are in talks with Sporting CP to finalize the 39-year-old Portuguese open to accepting move. And he is putting this out in combination with Adam Crofton, Laurie Whitwell, and The Athletic. So huge news. United Muppeteers reposting this. It's also coming from the New York Times as well. Ruben Amorim, Manchester United working on deal to appoint Ruben Amorim as head coach. Wow. I mean, they're moving really fast. United are ready to pay. I'm reading the article. Sources in Portugal, speaking anonymously as they are not authorized to discuss the matter, have told The Athletic the 39-year-old is open to taking the opportunity after Erik Ten Hag was sacked earlier on Monday. United are ready to pay the 10 million euro release clause, which is 8.3 million pounds, which I think is for that manager, it's not even as expensive as some could be. Release clause in his contract, with the two clubs in talks to finalize a deal that could see Ruud van Nistelrooy take interim charge before Amorim's arrival. So this deal, he might not necessarily leave in the middle of let's read a little bit more, but it could be a possibility that he doesn't necessarily leave immediately. It might be for the summer, but we gotta wait and see, I guess, what the kind of deal is going to happen. Amorim has emerged as one of Europe's most sought after young managers after a run of success with the Portuguese club, with United moving quickly after making him their #1 target to be Ten Hag's replacement. He was in contention to replace Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool before Arne Slot ultimately got the job, and also held talks over replacing David Moyes at West Ham, but but before later apologizing and calling the meeting a mistake. He won the Portuguese league in 2001, 2021, and again last season, while also winning the Taça da Liga, the Portuguese League Cup, on 2 occasions with Sporting and a 3rd time with his previous club Braga. He has also built a reputation as a coach known for fielding young players and improving individual player performance, a midfielder in his playing career. So there's that midfielder thing that I talked about that one time. Amorim has was a 3-time league champion with Benfica and won 14 caps for the Portugal national team. Why Amorim? Analysis. So they've done some analysis by senior data analyst Mark Carey. Ruben Amorim is a manager that has been rumored with a fair share of jobs in recent months, and you can understand why the 39-year-old is in demand. Amorim guided Sporting to its first title in 19 years in 2021-22 season, followed it up with another victory last season, and has 9 wins from 9 with Sporting, sitting pretty at the top of the Portuguese league this season, even accounting for the quality imbalance of the Portuguese league. A side who boasted statistically one of the best attacks, chance creation, 95 out of 99 of the best defenses, chance prevention, 97 out of 99, shows that their manager must be having a positive effect. Stylistically, Amorim's 3-4-3, or more specifically a 3-4-2-1, is built on high possession, flexible attacking approaches, and a strong defensive foundation. Last season's arrival of striker Victor Gyökeres led to a more transitional, direct style of attack. Patient attack was 49 out of 99. It also highlights Amorim's ability to maximize his style by adapting to the skill sets of his players. Amorim has shown his desire to bring young talent into the first team, including Gonçalo Inácio, Mateus Nunes, Nuno Mendes, and Ousmane Diomande, and has improved the team's quality with the resources at his disposal. Bruno Fernandes moved to Manchester United a little over a month before Amorim's appointment, but Mendes to PSG, Nunez to Wolves, Pedro Porro to Tottenham, Ugarte also to PSG, and then later, of course, to Manchester United, and Joao Palhinha to Fulham are among the talented players who Amorim has improved before being sold for high fees. So this is very, 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 very interesting. What are you guys saying? What are you guys saying about this? Amorim would be okay with me. I think he would be okay with me too. I'm very okay with Ruben Amorim. I like Julian Nagelsmann. I think they're 2 of similar style candidates. I think they're both young. I think they kind of fit the bill of the thing. Lions saying that it's a bargain. Ray saying get him now or nothing. Well, I think we could certainly do the deal to get him in so we don't lose him later on. It obviously has to be it has to be yet to be seen, because they can technically give Ruud the interim, and he can continue on for the remainder of the season, and Amorim could come in at the end of the season, because obviously Sporting may not really necessarily want to lose their manager right now at this time in the middle of the season. It could, dismantle their season. It could cause serious issues. But if there is a chance, and I'm not even against it, because if there is a chance that we can secure the deal now for it to happen at the end of the season, I'm here for that too. So we don't lose an opportunity of getting a manager. We are ahead of the game, because obviously other vacancies are going to open at other clubs. And then it would be tougher for us to get him in. So if it is something, obviously we have to see how the deal is actually going to go. But yeah. Richard saying, I don't understand. This is one of the things that angered me so much. Why he is a manager, could not see that. Richard saying City have been looking at him also as a Pep replacement. Yes, and they are getting their it's not the CEO of Sporting, the director of football at Sporting is coming in to replace the one at Manchester City. So, if we can come in and maybe INEOS are looking at that and doing this deal now because certainly they would be looking at it, and obviously it would go hand in hand. I mean, it worked very well at Sporting between their director of football and Amorim. They've had great success there. We're kind of hijacking their project, and they're gonna have to go get somebody else. 100%. Lions are saying it would suit our South American players. Sporting can get Ten Hag in, or what's the problem? I mean, they can technically. Yeah, that's actually hilarious. They could. They could. You know what? They could. Sporting, go get Erik Ten Hag. Um, you know, I'm excited now. Well, let me see because I think there's more updates following up of what's going on here. So, again, David Owenstein saying United are in talks to appoint Ruben Amorim as permanent head coach. Expectation deal with Sporting Lisbon can be concluded quickly. Compensation fee 10 million not seen as an obstacle. Amorim open to the switch. United Muppeteers going crazy. Mark Goldbridge did put out whatever you think about Mark Goldbridge. He said about 3 hours ago that apparently United had already have Ten Hag's replacement lined up. Um, and that was 3 hours ago, and it seems like Ruben Amorim is going to be the replacement, and he is one that has already been lined up because this news is coming very, very fast. I was gonna end the show. I don't even know if I can end it right now. I was gonna end it, rather quickly, but I can't end it at this very moment. Again, let's see. Harry Maguire has not oh, it's a joke. It's a joke. But breaking news, breaking news. Harry Maguire has not traveled to Paris for the Ballon d'Or ceremony as he was informed by the English FA that he will not win it. So, Maguire hasn't gone. It's unfortunate. Um, Listen, as much as you might not like him, the thing is that he does have the largest United fan channel, and I'm sure he does have some ins and nos and sources. He has to have some type of connection somewhere. So, we don't always talk about him. We don't have to always talk about people like that, but he did say that, and it does seem like it's going in that way. So, um. I'm looking to see if we're getting any more updates prior to what we've already talked about. Obviously, Amorim is open to the switch. I'm trying to see if there's any follow up tag on to that because everybody is just retweeting the same thing. Talks are underway with Sporting, which is a very good and encouraging sign. 10 million euro release clause. Absolutely excellent. I think I gotta change kind of the title of the stream right now. So give me a second while I update that. Um don't know do per se. Um it is the largest fan channel because the people who follow him know nothing about our club. Well, maybe, very well, maybe so, but still, it's not about just him having the largest thing. It's about the fact that because he does have that, I'm sure that he does have connections. You know what I mean? um because it's that's how the business usually works anyway too. So once you get those sort of views that he gets and the attention that he sort of gets, people are willing to do um things like that. Let me hold on because I need to update this. Dream can't spell. Amorim. I had to update. All right, let's continue with the show. All right. We have more of an update coming out. Um, we have an update coming from Ben Jacobs. Breaking news that Ruben Amorim has verbally agreed to become a Manchester United manager. So he is absolutely in there. There is a discussion, obviously, going on. Between Manchester United and the club. He has agreed with the club in a verbal sense to become the Manchester United manager. Funnily enough, Ruben Amorim was asked about 4 hours ago. He was asked by the journalist saying, he was asked saying, if your agent came to you and said you've got a meeting with Manchester United, what would you do? Get on a plane? And Amorim laughed. And then his response was then translated and said what we said before, where he said, I was already expecting this question, and obviously I'm not going to talk about the future because otherwise I'll have to comment. I'm very proud to be sporting coach, and that's it. And I think that, you know, when you kind of look back at that, coupled with the news that we are getting now, maybe it was a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. He did leave it very, very open. He did not shut it down at all. And I think he kind of knew, without trying to give it away too much, that this was already an ongoing thing. So, you know, very, very interesting, the developments that is going on right now. You know, Ruben Amorim to Manchester United, what will it look like? Well, his current style at Sporting CP formation is a 3-4-3 tactical approach, high intensity pressing, wing back play, fluid front three. You know, he is one of the brightest young managerial talents in Europe, and his Sporting CP side has earned plaudits for its high energy attacking football. Amorim's 3-4-3 system would bring an intensity that United fans crave, with aggressive pressing and fluidity in attack. His reliance on dynamic wingbacks mirrors the importance of fullbacks in United's history, while his development of young players aligns with the club's commitment to promoting from within. And his suitability for Manchester United, Amorim's style could reinvigorate United's squad. His high pressing and wing back system could be great for players like Diego Dalot and Luke Shaw, or, you know, the next left back that we get, while his willingness to give young talents opportunities would resonate with the club's traditions. The big question is whether United's existing squad could adapt to Amorim's demanding system quickly enough, and whether he could replicate his success in the Premier League, a far more competitive environment than the Portuguese league, which I think is all very good and valid good points. Manchester United is working on Ruben Amorim's 10 million release clause report. Let's get if I could so quickly update my thumbnail as well. Because I think we're just gonna stay live for a little bit longer. And do a bit of a longer show. So I might as well just Ganacho on the red carpet looking dapper. So he could be on our bench by the weekend. It is a possibility. It is a possibility. Apparently things are moving very, very quick, very, very fast. I'm trying to keep up with the news. We need to see. I tell you what we do. I tell you what we do. I tell you what we do. We're gonna go back live. In about. Let me change this back. change this back. We'll make a new live because this is just an absolutely crazy day. So in a second, I gotta update this. What we'll do. Type, man. I cannot type. Because then otherwise it's gonna be too long, and there's gonna be more news coming out, and we kind of have to split this. Kind of have to split this show. So what we'll do is give me a little bit. Give me a little bit. What are you guys saying? I like it. Would have loved Garner and Mayno. Many of these players can't play Amorim's playing style. They may not be able to, but that's why they gotta go. That's why they would have to go. They gotta go. So listen, we're gonna have to force it through. He's gonna have to try and get as many of them to play in the way he can. And the ones that can't, we gotta move them on. We gotta move them on. I want him to bring the style with him. Don't change it for United. Bring it to United. Give us an identity. Give us what you've been successful with. Bring it to us. Implement it in the club. And let's go. And let's go. You know, let's go. So, listen. Let's. I'll stay on for a couple. Let's see. Amorim deal almost done. Yes. Fabrizio Romano. Here's the update from Fabrizio Romano saying Manchester United have approached Sporting for Ruben Amorim as he's the favorite candidate to replace Erik Ten Hag. Talks ongoing as per reported by The Athletic and David Ornstein. Contract terms have also been discussed with Ruben Amorim's camp in the recent hours. So, I mean, he could be appointed very, very, very soon. United scout who was the insider of that, who was the insider of you know, he's apparently an insider. He's an ITK on Twitter. But he is respected. And he has been right about some things. And United scout is saying Ruben Amorim to be Manchester United's new manager. So I think he knows Ruben Amorim is coming. So apparently, you know, it's happening, baby. It's happening. I'm here for it. I like this guy. I think he fits the bill. You know, INEOS moving quick, doing what they got to do. We've sacked the manager this morning, and we've almost basically brung in a replacement in the same day. I mean, we are absolutely moving. We are moving. We are not messing about. This is This is what I've said that Manchester United need to do. This is what they need to do. Listen, let's let the news come out. I'm gonna end the show. I'm gonna end the show now. Let the news come out. We'll go back live in about an hour or so. And at around you know, 3:30 p.m. New York time. We'll go live. We'll do a little show covering whatever news comes out then. So thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. Thank you to everybody that subscribed. Thank you to everybody that's gotten involved. Lion, Lyle, Richard, of course, Alien, Sadiq, Ray was in here, Stephanie, Grace as well, and anybody else that I missed. Jason was in here earlier. Amir was in here earlier as well. Definitely Sadiq. We all cooking. Let me go. Let me eat something real quick. Let the news come out a little bit. We'll go back live and we'll do a separate show covering Ruben Amorim because this show was not what it started as, and it turned into that. So let's do that, and we'll regroup in about an hour. So I will obviously schedule the show. we will see you. We will see you back very very soon in 1 hour. 1 hour from now, from your time. 1 hour. 1 hour. So catch you in a bit. Thank you guys for stopping by. Yeah, this is gonna develop. It's gonna be an absolute crazy. It's gonna be an absolute madness. Absolute madness going on today. So I'll see you all in a little bit.